Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Picture This, the podcast for creators, artists, and anyone who is interested in photography. Today's guest is David. He is one of my friends that we met through doing school photo shoots. He is amazing with video and photos. He dabbles in weddings, products, food, portrait, and everything else that you can think of. Today's episode, we discuss his career, his journey into photography, working with video, and everything else. If you're interested in any of these episodes, give it a like, comment down below, and why not subscribe for more monthly episodes. Now, let's get into the video. Hi David, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Hello Lucy, how are you?
I am good. How are you? Are you enjoying having a bit more time off after schoolwork?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm enjoying the time off, but it's not really time off because I'm busy with loads of other projects. But it's nice to don't have to wake up that early in the morning, as you know.
yeah, totally get it, definitely. What sort of projects are you doing at the moment?
At the moment, I have all my dining room all messed up because I have a still photography table, one of those white tables with an infinite curve, because I'm doing some products photography for a company here in Doncaster. That's where I live. And yeah, basically it's just lights, backgrounds, products absolutely everywhere. Then it's a bit of a mess right now, but I'm enjoying the process.
Oh, good. Have you done sort of products before as well?
Yeah. I mean, that's a bit of what I do, to be honest. I do a bit of everything. I mean, if you pay me, I'm happy to do anything you want, to be honest. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll learn how to do it. But yeah, it's basically a company that does labels for products. And then basically, for example, when you buy a bottle of water and then the sticker that's on the bottle, then that's kind of like what they design. They wanted me to take pictures of the rolls of the actual labels that they do, the different labels, different qualities. And then yeah, that's pretty much, they send me the product and then also the roll, the label roll, and I need to manage to make a nice picture of stickers, to be honest.
I like it. Yeah, it sounds a fun job. So just before we go into everything, if you want to explain what you do, sort of what genre of photography you're into, just sort of explain to people who don't know who you are.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I do, my career is videography and photography. I actually started and studied videography first. It was more cinema and TV. But then, because I was learning about cinema and TV, then I kind of like started touching photography. And then that's when I was like, okay, I can try to be both. I can be a hybrid, I think it's called, nowadays it's called like hybrid photographer and videographer. And I do a bit of both at the same level. Then I do any kind of, for example, on videography, I do community events. I work for loads of events where the community is involved, and they ask me, "Oh, can you come to do a video of this event or that or that?" Also businesses, like if you have a restaurant or any kind of business that you want to create a bit of content, I will say. I don't really like to call myself content creator because I think that's a bit different of what I'm doing. But that's pretty much the idea behind. And then I go back to Mallorca, that's where I'm from. I go back a lot to film some marathon races, bicycle races, triathlons, Ironmans. I don't run. I'm really bad at running. I'm starting to run recently, but yeah, I'm not at that level yet. But that's kind of what I enjoy the most, to be honest, on the videography side of it, doing all these races, and it's kind of like a bit more of an epic video. And then on the photography side, a bit of everything, to be honest. School photography, as you know, the products, as I mentioned, again, restaurants, businesses. I've done weddings before in both video and photo, but I'm not a big fan of the weddings because I feel like it's a really stressful environment. It's loads of other people that is much better than me onto that, and I don't try to promote for myself as a wedding photographer. But if you ask me, then yeah, I'll do it. But it's not something that I'm looking forward to do. I prefer do other kind of photography, and that's kind of like the job or the photo and video that pays the bills. Then what I do like to do is street photography and landscape photography. That's kind of like or I will say like this street and street and landscape falls into travel photography for me. I like to travel and then mixing those three kind of photographies into one big thing.
How do you feel like you can manage everything? Because that seems like a lot to take on with it. How do you sort of manage your diary when it comes to people coming in and booking things, really?
I think I do a bit of a really old manually kind of calendar kind of stuff. I mean, it's not manual. I mean, I use the Google Calendar, and that's pretty much if I am free, I do it. If I don't, I can't do it, and that's pretty much how I manage myself. Now the problem is, well, and as you just said, it's quite a lot. And recently, I've been having loads of like burnout feeling of like, oh, I can't. I'm doing that many jobs that then my hobby or my passion for photography is kind of like I lost it a bit, because then on my time off before, when I started, I was going out to take photos. But now my time off, I don't really want to touch a camera. I just put it on the desk and that's it. It stays there until the next job. How I manage all these jobs and photography and videos stuff is basically, I don't know. It's just I have a calendar. If I work, if I'm free, I'll do it. If I'm not free, of course I can do it. But as you said, it's quite a lot of stuff going on, and recently I've been having quite a big burnout of photography and video. And then before, when I started the career 13 years ago, oh my god, I'm old. Then when I started, I was like, okay, photography and video is my way of kind of like disconnect from the world and everything. But now, because I've done many stuff, when I get home and my time off, I don't use the camera. I just put it on the desk and I do other stuff. I go for walks with my puppy. I go spend time with my family, go cinema, stuff like this, because I don't really enjoy that photography part of it, because it's become a job now more than a passion. But I still try to get rid of that burnout, and I recently joined a photography club in Doncaster just to go and take photos. Like, it's kind of like I put myself through like an obligation of going to that club. Like this, I can try to enjoy again the photography side of it. And it's working. I feel like in the last 2 months, I'm getting back to it, like just taking pictures for the fun of it instead of just for working. But I guess we're going to talk about it. But I did a world cruise. I went around the world. I took loads of photos of every single places I've been. I don't think I shared that many. I think I just shared 3 places that we've been, and I went to Singapore, I went to Philippines, and I'm not sharing nearly anything from all of this. And then I think I've been chatting now quite a lot, and I think I lost my thought. But yeah, it's just this. For anything listening to this, it's normal having burnouts. Like, it's something that we all go through, and not just in photography or videography. I think in every single career that you do, you have days where you're like, I can't deal with that anymore. Like, I don't need this. I just want to be at home, or I just want to be in the pub, or I just want to be far away from everything and everyone. But it happens. It's normal. Then how you manage this is everybody has their own way to manage all of these burnouts. Like in my case, then is going for a walk, or just maybe spend a full day playing video games, disconnecting of the world. And then, there's nothing wrong with having burnouts.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like especially recently, and I've talked a lot about it, is, I've definitely felt like I've had that burnout in situations, and I think it does affect your mental health, because for someone who is creative or freelances, sometimes you feel like you have to take on that work because you don't know when the next work's going to come in. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, being in a creative industry. I definitely have. I mean, sometimes obviously you want to do what you enjoy, but when it turns out to the point that it starts affecting your mental health and stuff, it definitely needs that way around of it. And I think a lot of times you don't notice it until you're deep in the in the burnout, as you will, sort of thing. So do you feel like that's affected your mental health a little bit?
It's been affecting on a way, like some days feeling like, why am I doing this? Why I'm not trying to find a 9 till 5 job and like this? I know I'm working 9 till 5. After 5, I have the rest of the day for myself, and I don't need to bother or worry about anything else. When what you're saying is this freelance job, you want to say yes to everything because you don't know when the next thing is going to be. Like we have loads of months, like for example the portrait season, school photos season, that we are that busy that it's just like, okay, carry on, because we don't know if that next month we're going to have any job, and we need to pay the bills, we need to just go to the supermarket. Then you never want to say no. And I think that is affecting me on a way of like, I'm a bit more angry some days. I'm a bit more like, ugh. Oh, like leave me alone, and not just towards myself, also towards the rest of the people that are around me, and that's not fair for them, because they're not. It's not their fault. It's just me that I'm tired, I'm stressed, and stuff like this. Then dealing with this is difficult, but I think I've been lucky enough that it's not been affecting me to the level where I think, okay, I need to stop. I think it's been affecting me on a normal level of like, okay, this is job, that's what's happening when you're working. But it's something I try to keep in mind, where I feel like, okay, maybe I'm a bit too stressed now. Let's don't do this job, or let's put this job aside for a day, and then I can come back. Because I think in the creative world, the people doesn't really understand. Like for example, if you work in an office, and I don't have anything towards people that works in office, it's fair enough. That's what you want to do, all good. But if you have a bad day, it's kind of like, all right, you maybe that day you do less spreadsheets, okay, on Excel. That's fine, all good. But if we have a bad day on our creative career, that means I take a really bad photo that day, and then that photo is a memory for that family. And if I'm not in my full mindset, it's really affecting that family, that memory, that business. Then it's really difficult for people to understand that it's not in our jobs to understand when we go through those days, and why it's not just pressing the button. It's actually, okay, being ready on your mind, be happy, because you need to be really hype. You need to hype up the people. You need to be full 100%, and that takes quite a lot of work to manage to have your brain on the right place.
Yeah, I think you've got to switch your brain on, like, for the whole thing, plus after. And it's not just a 9 to 5 job. I think people think it is. It's like you go, take the photo, it may be an hour and a half, depending on what you're doing. But like you said, you've got to hype people up. You've got to keep that energy going. Because if you take a bad photo, not only is it the memory that they've got is a bad experience, but that also means they might not pay you for any photos that you want afterwards. It could be a whole paycheck, of people that, don't take the photo. And I think if it starts slipping into there, then it's one of those things that you've got to change it. I think, like I said, it's not just a 9 to 5 job. If you run a business, you're doing admin work, you're trying to find more work, you're doing all the editing that you're doing, you're color correcting, everything like that. So it's not just 9 to 5. Like, I go home after I have a shoot and I think about what promotion am I going to put up next week, or what ideas can I put out, what's something different I could do with my products, let me go look at my workflow. And it's all consuming, and I think you have to have the people around you to understand that. Like, I'm quite lucky, I have friends and family that totally understand that it is just more than that. I mean, I know that you have a partner as well, David. How do you sort of cooperate with that when you go home? Obviously, you're still thinking of photography and stuff. How do you sort of put that aside and, actually spend time with her as well?
Well, in my case, I think we are lucky, the both of us, my partner and I, because she's actually an artist. She's a painter. Then she's also in the creative world, and she understands the process also. And it's like, it's just not grabbing a brush and start to paint the face. She needs to also be in the mindset of like, okay, I'm going for it. Then I think because we both know how the other feels, we also know when, we also know when we can push each other or when we need that space for each other. I know that maybe, for example, she does does these events in the night where we're going to the pub and she teach people how to paint step by step at the same time that you have a glass of wine, a pint or a coffee. And then means she works until late in the night. Then, of course, I know that in the morning she's not going to want to wake up that early to do things. Then I leave that space. And the same way goes for me, because she knows in a school photography season, I'm waking up really early, then she's not going to want me to do things really late in the night. Even though that I go to all the pop painting sessions to help her with the photos and stuff. But I think having someone who is on the same kind of world, it helps me a lot to be, okay, she's also going through the same, then she's understanding that. And how we disconnect about these things, then again, we just play some games, we watch some movies, we go for a walk, we go to see family. And the good thing, I will say, that for both of us being freelance, is that when we have periods of time where we had enough, okay, that is too much, because we are our own boss, we are our own everything, we can decide, okay, we are not working this week, let's go somewhere. And that freedom is why I love being a freelance.
No, definitely. There are periods of times where you just get to relax and sit down. But obviously there are periods where you have to rush and, like I said, you never know when the money's coming in. So you've got to pick every work that you can with it. So just tell me a bit more about the work when you started. So obviously you mentioned that you did cruise work and stuff. Talk a bit more about that, really.
I'm going to be 32. Yeah, but I started when I was, I would say 17 to 18. It was just month before being 18. And I had this teacher, I was in high school. I didn't know what to do with my life. Not like, I think a normal thing when you are 18, you are bothered about other things, to be honest. And then she said to me, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? You want to go to uni? What do you want to do? And I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. And then she said to me, what do you like? And stuff. Well, I like cinema. I like TV. I like video games. I never mentioned photography to her because I never touched the camera before then. And she said, oh, look, is this, I actually looked for the word today because I didn't know how to say it. Because in Mallorca, in Spain, we call it formación profesional. That is kind of translated to professional formation, but in English is actually higher vocational education. That's But that's what ChatGPT told me is translated. Anyway, she said to me, "Is this cinema, TV, radio, and theater a course that is 2 years, and then what about if you try that? I was like, oh, okay, I never tried. I never thought about that. Let's have a go. And then I went into it and I started to learn about cameras, about the lights in theater, sound, all of the kind of. It was a bit of everything. We did radio, we did podcast, we learned all of this stuff, how to touched a bit of everything. But then I kind of like enjoyed the TV side of it, not the cinema, the TV side of it. And when I finished those 2 years, I started working. It was more a practice than work. It was like a hiking program for the Mallorcan TV, and we used to follow a guy in the mountains, us with the cameras, the tripod, and everything, and we just filmed him talking with people and finding things in the mountains, doing some hiking. And that was kind of like where the spark of, okay, I really like this. Even though that on that time I was just carrying the tripod and breakfast for everyone because I was learning. Then that was my job. But from that, then I got contacts with those guys, and they kind of like hired me for other things. Like that's where I started doing filming the races and all of this stuff. And then because I learned how to do lights and sound for theater, I got a job in a hotel in Mallorca where they used to do like a theater. Like in the night they had some acts and plays and stuff. Then I was in charge of the light and the sound. They used to call me DJ, but I don't know how to mix music. I just know how to make it sound. That's it. And then on that time I thought, I want to do something else with my studies, with my career. What can I do? Then I did another course of 2 years, but that one was more focused in photography, because I thought, right, I know now that the video side of it, I would like to learn the photography side of it. And I ended up being the best one in my class, because on that time, they wanted to focus also in video, because video was starting to be really important. And I kind of like was the good one, because I already knew everything from video. Not everything, but quite a lot. And then, yeah, that was quite nice, to be honest. But I always felt like the only reason I was good at it is because I already did 2 years of video compared to the other ones that they just wanted to do photography. I learned to be photography, then photography became the hobby, the passion. Video was the job, and then photography was more the time off. Let's take some pictures, and I was enjoying that. And then I started to get some jobs as a photographer, doing some weddings, doing a bit of my own thing. I did some markets, doing my own photos, printing them, and just trying to sell them in my hometown. I don't think I sold any, like maybe to my grandma or something like this, but that's all right. I mean, yeah.
It's a sale.
Exactly. And then on that time, I met my now fiance, and she came to work on the same hotel. And then I moved to be a tour guide, but as a part of the tour guide, I was also doing the videos and the photos for the company. Then that kind of like started me again. Okay, I can do that eventually. And then this company that I work from in Mallorca, then they asked me to do it also in Prague and Krakow. Then I did a bit of the videos there, and then I was like, okay, I can travel and making videos and getting paid for it, and that was quite cool for it. And then my fiance said to me, let's move to England. I never left the island, or I left the little island, but I never lived somewhere else apart from Mallorca. And I was like, yeah, come on, let's do it. And I end up coming to England. Moved to Sheffield first. Loved Sheffield, but then Rebecca's family, they're from Doncaster. Then we moved closer to Doncaster, and now we live in Doncaster. And I started working school photography in 2019. Now, yeah, 2019. Amazing company. I mean, you know them. You work for them too. They're great. It's a bit of a stressful job, dealing with all the children and not children. I mean, yeah, we had a bit of situations that we don't need to tell everyone. But yeah, and then from that, I started to build my career here, doing some restaurants, meeting with people, and that's where I am now. I forgot. In all of that time, my fiance Rebecca, she found a job to be an art teacher in a cruise ship. Then it was basically doing some art and craft. And then she managed to get me on the job too. She said, oh, I have my partner, he does photography, blah, 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 and he comes to help me with my painting classes, and he would love to come on board. And the company were happy actually to have couples together, because they know that we will be working great together. And I just end up being on a cruise ship, going around the world with my partner, teaching art, even though I never painted in my life. But I had to learn how to paint, I had to learn how to do origami, napkin folding, we did all sorts, beer mats. I can't remember, it was loads of things, because it was a world cruise. Then basically we had loads of days on the sea, and then of course the clients, the guests, they really wanted to do absolutely everything, because of course if you are in a cruise ship, you don't go on holidays on a cruise ship, you go to do absolutely every single activity. Then you need a holiday after that holidays.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I thought, for the company asked us as artists to create our own kind of workshop. We had that freedom of creating our individual workshop, and the one I created was photography classes, because I saw, I mean, the average age of that cruise, I would say, was 75. No joking. And I saw loads of them with their cameras, big lenses and stuff. I was like, okay, do you know how to use it? Oh, no, I just put it in auto and I go for it. I was like, right. And then I thought, right, then I'm going to do a bit of a photography workshop showing how to use your camera. And the idea was to do it with people with DSLRs, mirrorless, or stuff like this. But I end up having all these 75 up adults, grown-ups, old people coming with their phones, with little phones, asking me questions about how to take better photos with their phones. That's fair enough. But that actually moved on also of how to send more than one picture to my family on WhatsApp, how to connect on Facebook, then basically my photography class became how to use phones. And that was fine, because I had quite a lot of people and the number was increasing, and yeah, it was quite nice to meet all of these people, and they were really nice at the end. At the beginning they were a bit, who are you? But at the end they were really lovely. And yeah, we went on a world cruise. We went a bit everywhere, America, then we crossed Pacific, we went to Hawaii, Fiji, New Zealand, Australia. I'm trying to remember all the journey we did. Australia, then from Australia we went Philippines, we went to Vietnam, we went to Hong Kong, we went to Singapore, and then we were supposed to go through the Suez Canal and stop in Dubai and somewhere in Egypt. I can't remember exactly where we were supposed to stop, but because of the amazing situation that is in Palestine and Gaza and all of this stuff, they decided to change, and we went South America. And my last 15 days on the ship, I had them quite rough, because of the changing of itinerary. We went from Cape Town all the way to Tenerife without stopping on land. That was 10 days on sea. And then just 3 days before getting into Tenerife, it was a norovirus going on the ship. and I got it. I got it. I mean, I was okay. I wasn't feeling bad, but I had to stay on my cabin, no window, because I didn't have a window. Then I had to spend 5 days more in my ship. Then I missed Tenerife. Then it was a total of 15 days on sea without actually putting foot on land. My fiance, she was already gone on that time. She went back home because that's how the company worked. You go 2 weeks with someone, and then you swap, and then basically I was training the next person for 2 weeks, and we couldn't really actually do our activities because of the norovirus. Then that was, I think that was more awful for her, because I was supposed to teach her how everything working, but we didn't really have time for it because of the norovirus. Then everything got cancelled, and it was a bit of a bad end of the cruise ship. But at least at the last 5 days between Tenerife and Southampton, I didn't work, and then I just enjoyed the ship. I was just like on the spa, in the gym, in the pool, just chatting, drinking, because I had discounts for being a crew. Then that was actually quite nice.
That seemed very full on, but you had good moments and bad moments, definitely.
Well, yeah, definitely good ones. That's where I asked my fiance to marry me on the ship, on board, in front of the theater, in front of everyone. And definitely that was a good moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was one of probably the best moments that you've got from it. Have you had any other good moments within your career, aside from obviously proposing to your now fiance?
No, loads of really good moments, meeting new people, like that's, I think that's a really cool thing of our job. Like, we meet such awesome people throughout our career, because, like, for example, if I didn't start working school photography, I wouldn't have met you, and I would not be doing this podcast today, for example. And then I met all the people here in Doncaster, loads of creative that has amazing ideas for Doncaster, because we know how Doncaster, the fame of Doncaster, like we really understand that. But I met a bunch of people now that I can call friends, that we actually try to change the idea of Doncaster, and that is something that recently has been inspiring me quite a lot, trying to change that mentality that Doncaster is just a place, a rough place. We want to change that into like, no, Doncaster is a city now. We can show how good it is in Doncaster, how much culture is, and that is something good from the career. For example, I think it's really nice that to try to do something bigger than myself, and I really enjoy that. I met people because of this career. Also, I end up working in summer camps for 3 years. That took me to Austria for the 2 summers, to just being the photographer and just taking pictures of the summer camp and exploring new places, meeting new people. And that job made me become camp manager in York. Then that's kind of like, okay, one thing takes me to the other, and I don't know, other cool and amazing memories is just filming moments that I know now that are in the memory of loads of people. Like, I really enjoy that. I mean, I don't want to sound big-headed, okay, because I know it sounds really, oh, come on, what are you talking about? But I really like thinking that my photos and my videos, eventually, in 100 years or so, maybe someone is going to look at them and be like, look, that's how they used to live. That's what they used to do. Or in 50 years time, they will be like, okay, look how cool that event was. And the only proof that event happened, it was my video or my photo. Then that, I think, is I really like that feeling.
Yeah, I especially with my people project that I'm doing, I think everyone nowadays is a photographer. I mean, everyone's got a phone, a camera, that sort of stuff. But I think, like, especially me, I love physical photos. We've got loads on our wall at home, and it's just, I think, you know, like you said, you know, creating that memory for people. They will look back at that photo and be like, oh my God, this is when so-and-so was one and it was her first birthday and she just lost a tooth or whatever. And it creates that sort of visual memory from it. It's like I go around to loads of people's houses and they've got, you know, wedding photos up on the wall and stuff. And it's really trying to show people, you know, how important photography is. I think a lot of people forget that, especially because everyone's, like you said, a content creator nowadays. Everyone's an influencer. It's like I think we've all lost the meaning of, you know, how interesting, you know, photography is and how important it is for other people to share with it. Definitely, I think that's probably the most rewarding part of photography, is creating that memories. It's like even in when we go to school photos, it's like maybe the kid had, you know, just lost her first tooth or whatever, like I was saying. It's her first day at proper like big girl school or whatever, so it's something that parents are going to look at and go, oh my God, you know, that was when so and so. Like I've got a school photo of me and my sister, and she's got a very nice like bruise on top of her head from it, but we still look back at that photo and go, oh, that's when, you know, I pushed you down the stairs or whatever. Is
that I was going to ask you, is that she has a bruise because of you?
just a little one. It wasn't huge.
No, fair enough.
I really love my sister, I promise.
Yeah, I do love my brother and my sister too.
Yeah, you were talking about obviously meeting new people and stuff. How important do you think networking is within like this creative industry?
Oh, super important. I think because then you meet other photographers or other people, and they can do a job. Then they might think, oh, okay, I can't do that one because I already booked, but I'll send you the contact for somebody else. Or they can do it by themselves, and then they ask you if you can be the second shooter or things like this, or just to share the same feelings, like because we are freelancers, we don't have that friend in the office that we can gossip around, or we don't have that person that, okay, you want to go for a drink after work, because we work quite alone. Our work, we are the photographer, we are the editor, we are our accountant, we are our content creator for our social medias, we do absolutely all these jobs, and then having this other person that is going through the same is quite nice, because then you can share, oh yeah, the other day I did a photo shoot and that client did that or did that, and sharing that conversation I think is really nice for our mental health, going back into that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's important to network and meet people and stuff, because like you said, you don't have that colleague that you can talk across the room and go, oh, my boss did this or whatever, and relate to it, because we can all relate to it in some senses. I think, though, photography has come quite of a gatekeeping type of thing. I think a lot of people go, well, if I do this, then, you know, she's stealing my clients and, you know, I'm not getting the work. And because it's quite a challenging job and, you know, like I said, everyone's a photographer nowadays, it can be quite hurtful sometimes with it. And I think definitely having those friends around that, you know, you can rely on and you can trust from it. Have you dealt with anything in a similar capacity with that?
Well, I do have some clients, for example, that they used me for my photography and my videos, but then for the same company, the same client, then they used another person for another event. And it does feels like, why are you using that other person and not me? But then you think about it, it's like, you know, that's fine. That is not actually taking any job from me. It's just like, he's doing one, I'm doing another one, and then we carry on. And then that kind of like healthy competition, I would like to call it. It kind of like pushes each other to be better. Because, I mean, I know quite a lot of the photographers and videographers here in Doncaster, and I know their job, and they do also know what I'm doing, and they look my Instagram and they look at my stuff, and I do look at their stuff, and then that actually helps me to get more inspired. Okay, like this guy is gone and done, I don't know, footage of a lake or whatever. Then, oh, that's so cool. Okay, then I'll try to do that kind of similar footage for my next event or this photo. Then how do you deal with competition? I think embrace the competition, because that competition helps you to want it to be better at what you're doing. Because if you don't get better, that's where you lose the jobs, and not because somebody else is doing the same. It's because you are not trying your best to be better than that person, and that I think it's nice to have competition. We can then talk about people that puts their prices really low or doing jobs for free or stuff that I had a bit of an argument on one of those community Facebook groups the other day about this situation. That is total different situation, but actual professionals that we work on the same level, I think that is that's nice to have that competition.
And it's healthy as well, because you see, like I said, you see what other people do. I see loads of people, and like you traveling, and I'm like, oh, like I wish I could go traveling and take these photos and stuff. But it's even like people who were super high up in the industry, and you think, oh my God, they got there, so can I, sort of thing. So I do think it, like you said, it is healthy with it. You were talking about inspiration a little bit. What sort of, how do you gather your inspiration, really?
Well, I would say, like, at the beginning when I started was YouTube, like a lot of consume of YouTube, like to a point that maybe was a problem to watch that much YouTube. But I think YouTube is loads of photographers in there. You need to be careful, because some of the photographers that started as an inspiration, now they become a brand. And kind of like, okay, I get it. They do their own job. It's that their business, their way of living, and that's fine. But it's loads of them that they have a really good eye for photography and videography in general. Movies, I do really like to. I mean, my problem with movies at the moment is I watch movies and I try to figure out where the light is or where is the mic. Or I mean, I get into, if the script is really good, I do get lost into the script and I enjoy it. But when some movies, maybe the script or the story is not that important, I do start checking, like, oh, that's a nice shot. Oh, how they did that. Things like this, and then I try to go on YouTube and find behind the scenes of how they filmed this. For example, I watched like recently the Joker, the first Joker. I've not seen the second one. The first one, I seen the behind the scenes and how they build all the scenarios, all the decorations, all the locations, all of this stuff. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That is really inspiring. And then other people doing really amazing videos, but in a really cheap way, like doing travelings, doing movements of camera just with a wheelchair or a skateboard. I just feel like, okay, that is insane, and I'll take that as an inspiration, and it's something that gets in my mind, and then if I ever need to use that resources, I know how to do it. Yeah, this, and then networking. We're going back into the network, but trying to go into events, cultural events in my area or other areas, trying to go there and be like, okay, and then talk with the photographer, talk with the artist. How did you do that? How did you manage? Like, for example, yesterday, we were doing a painting session with Rebecca, and then two of the clients that come to the painting session, they're wildlife photographers, and they were showing me some of the pictures they took. And wildlife is something I never done, because I think it's quite not. I don't want to say niche, but I think it's a really expensive hobby, because you need to have a really big lens to get that level. Like, I checked, she said to me, oh, I have this 400 prime lens, 2.8, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, how much is that? And then I went on website and checked. It was £10,000. I was like, that's how much I'm saving for my wedding. I can't afford that at the moment. But I was interested to ask. I asked them, but how do you do those night photos? Because they were in the night, but then they had the flash, and I was really wondering, where do you put the flash? How do you know that that animal is going to be on that place for you to put the flash on that direction? How do you do? And then they kind of like explained it to me. They said, okay, we know exactly where they're going to come to eat, because we spent hours and hours waiting, and then they invited me to go with them one day to take photos. Then that's just and I was like, yeah, perfect, because like this I'll learn. And it's kind of like, I think in our job we need to update ourselves all the time, because every week is a new camera, every week is a new lens, and new light, a new microphone. And if we get stuck into the same things, we don't update ourselves, then again we are losing versus the competition, because the competition will do it. Then we need to update ourselves all the time.
It's one of those things that I think you can get stuck in the new camera, the new lens and everything. But I think, having the basics is always a good point with that, definitely.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, sorry. It's just, I didn't want to sound like, the camera doesn't make the photographer. That's 100%. Like, you can take photos with your phone, with an old camera of 30, 40 years ago. That's no difference of how your skills, your eyes, your composition and everything I think is all the things that you need to keep in mind when you're updating, which trend is going on at the moment. Even though that some of the trends I don't really understand. Like, for example, those blurry wedding photos, I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's I think obviously, and then there's still people that come to you and go, I want this as the trend that's coming up. So you've got to obviously know from there. But I totally agree, skills over everything else. I mean, you've got to learn at some point, from switching from auto all the way to manual. And it is tricky, I definitely had my fair share where when I started photography when I was 18, I was like, I don't need to know manual. I'll just, pick up a camera and take a photo. But obviously you need to know that sort of stuff with it. What sort of other advice do you give people who are interested in getting into photography, or just anything in general, video as well?
The thing that helped me the most was just grab my camera everywhere. I was going out with my friends, take the camera. And when I was going out with my friends, it didn't have the big mirrorless or this DSLR. It was grab and shoot. How do you call in English?
Grab one and of those. Shoot, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those little ones. I was going with them and practicing. We were just having a beer or a drink and then putting the light. I have a picture of a Heineken bottle where I put the flash of the torch of the phone just underneath the bottle, and then the bottle just kind of like like the lit up, and is one of my favorite photos because I don't know. I am going back again into the memories and how to capture the memories. But for me, I don't have a really good memory. I forget quite a lot of things, but I remember exactly how and when and who was when I took that photo. And I think that's a good way to learn. Just keep taking the camera, taking photos absolutely of everything, even things that you think, that's not that interested. Take a photo of it, because then you will learn that is not interested, or you will learn of how to make something boring more interesting. There's loads of people on TikTok and YouTube that I don't know if you've seen it. They say to them on the comments, they put, make an advert of a paper clip with a scary mood or something like this, and then they go and they do it, and it's amazing. It's challenge yourself. Like, for example, if you are already into photography a bit and you are doing, I don't know, baby shoots, maybe try to do another kind of photography, and then you will see if you maybe, I never tried food photography, but I actually enjoy it, or maybe you hate it and then you just decide, okay, I'll focus just in baby photography. My mom always said to me, oh, you are a learner. I don't know if you have that quote in English, but basically she used to say, oh, you touch everything, but you are not an expert in anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I actually disagree with her on this, because I actually enjoy being able to do loads of different things, bouncing, because if not, I get bored of one thing, and then if I get bored of one thing, then I can jump into another one. And I think that's my big suggestion to anyone that wants to start. Don't close yourself in one topic, or try to explore as much as you can, and then that's how you will learn everything. And then you'll start with auto, then you move to manual, and then you will understand what the other stuff your camera can do. For example, the aperture mode or the priority mode, shutter speed mode, like I'm using them quite a lot, and they're semi-automatics. I get that, but it's something that you know how to use the camera. You know that, for example, if you do a sport, you want to freeze the moment, you need to put the shutter speed at a certain speed. Then you don't really want to be focusing that much on all the technique parts of the camera. I'm focused more on the composition and creating a story with your photo. Then if you know the settings that you want to put on that camera, then you can just focus on that composition. And I think that's the main thing of photography, because everybody can read the manual of the camera, but no everybody can compose how it's supposed to.
I think there's one thing, reading a photography book and going, this is what you should be doing, this is what you should be doing. But I think it really takes a real creative to be like, I want to do this and this is how I'm going to do it. And I think that totally comes with learning manual. When I started out in like studio work, it was just so nice to be like, this is the shot that I'm going for, this is the inspiration, this is how I'm gonna light it, and this is what I want the camera to be like. I mean, my old manager was very much like, you need to try and take everything in camera as much as possible and edit as little as possible. Obviously editing is a whole different thing when it comes to it, and learning through that really. But I think learning the basics at least, and going, this is how you take a photo on it. And then that's just so freeing as well, because you can just, like you said, even though you might want something that's a blurred background, so you focus on the aperture that you want from it, and you don't have to focus on anything else, because that's the idea that you had across really. So no, totally, I agree from that really.
One of my teachers, and I think it's not just him that he made that sentence, I think it's loads of other people who said it, he always used to say, okay, know the rules to then break them.
Yes.
Like the rule of thirds, rule of the 118 on video, blah, blah, blah. It's loads of rules in photography that they are really good to learn. Like, learn them. I'm not saying don't learn them, read about them and everything. But then once you know about them, you can break the rules to create something unique.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to learn all of this, but then it doesn't mean you need to follow the rules in a way.
I've definitely been in situations where, obviously, when you go into a job like the schoolwork, they have specific criteria of, you need to do this, you need to have it on this setting, which is absolutely fine, because I totally understand they want everyone to look the same. So if you go into sort of a freelance job, there are going to be limitations to it. And I think from doing that and doing my business, I feel like I have so much more creativity in my own business, because obviously I get to compose it the way I want. I get to put the settings on that I want, make a creative photo. And I think obviously you're going to get some clients that like particularly white background looks, if you will, passport photos, if you will. Again, that's not really the type of work that I enjoy, but of course that's what people want, and you obviously do what people want from it. But I think having that space between getting a job done and being creative, you need to have a bit of both really from it.
Yeah, no, of course. But then I think in our job on the school photos, that was this creativity that we have in our own jobs helps us to improvise if we have to. Like how many times we found ourselves in situations where the room is quite small, or there is a child that doesn't really like to have the photo taken, and we need to improvise the way. Like we end up taking that same photo, but maybe the approach we give to that person is totally different. Like, okay, is a kid that is a bit more shy, then instead of just having them standing and do it, we make it like a game. Saying I'm just ending, and then with that, yeah, it's just like those skills that you learn then help you to every single job. Because, for example, all the stuff I learned from school photography, it helped me now to do headshots for just a normal headshot that someone might need, or help me to deal with stressful situations when it's too many people or too much noise. Then I develop that skill of like, okay, kind of like crowd control on a way. And that is really helpful. For example, if you do weddings, when you have all the guests drunk, like you have Uncle Tom that just been drinking beers all night, then and then he comes and starts to tell you how to do photos. Then you learn how to control all of these situations.
I've been in those situations definitely, but no, I agree with when you were saying about trying different things, because I've I did work experience in a product photography. It wasn't necessarily my thing, but I found out that it wasn't the thing that I enjoyed. And then working with people and children, I realized actually I really enjoy working with kids. And then when I dabbled in like pets in the studio and like dance portfolios, and then we did headshots, I realized that people were my thing. So I definitely think trial and error is the thing, and that's what I always teach people. Like I like weddings, I do, but it's not necessarily my thing. Again, like you said, you get the drunk uncles, but I know people that are amazing in weddings. They thrive in it because it's just their environment, sort of thing. But it's like everything, finding the job that sticks with you, but not necessarily sticking to that as your main source of income. So it's like, obviously I'll go off and do business headshots if people want them, pets, dabbling into that. So it is sort of trial and error really with everything.
No, exactly. Like, for example, in school photography, we both met different photographers. Like, for example, now I can think top of my head, Jodie. She's amazing as a wedding photographer. I love her stuff. I love your stuff with the babies and the pets. I think they look amazing photos, and I really think that your career there is really nice. I seen you dealing with the children, and is amazing the job you do. And then is Andy, that he is now into real estate photography and also traveling, and he's amazing. Then is meeting all these different photographers with different skills, and is what you're saying, trying one thing, and then if you don't like it, let's try another one. Like, I don't like weddings, then I leave that wedding career to somebody else.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's all we've got time for today, David, but thank you so much. We've had a really good chat about, I think, important stuff in photography which needed to be spoken about, definitely, about mental health and being burnt out and finding the right career for you. I think it'll definitely be valuable for people to hear, especially people who are trying to get into the industry with it. Would you like to plug any social media or anything that you have? You're welcome to display now.
Thank you. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I saw your first episode and I was like, oh, that sounds like a nice idea. Then I throw myself into like, please, I want to be in it, because I think is what you're saying is really important that us photographers, we help each other. And then we also speak about things that we go through, because that helps to other photographers that might be feeling stuck into these situations. And I really appreciate that you are doing this podcast, because it's really helpful to reach out to other people. Social medias, I mean, I have my Instagram is David8 Photography. I've been thinking to change it to David8 Media, because I'm doing both photography and video, but it's something I want to look more into it. And if the same Instagram and Facebook is the same, David Photography, and then I have my website where is davidsanchez.co.uk. Then if you need anyone who needs some business doing some photography or stuff, just contact me, and if I can do it, I'll send them in your way.
Yeah, send them to me. I'm happy to do that. No, but thank you so much for David. Yeah, it's something that I think people need to speak about. And I think that's one reason why I started this podcast, was to show people that, you know, as brilliant and as amazing as getting into a creative industry there are some hardships that people don't understand, and I think creating the light to it, or even just showing it out and people going, yeah, absolutely, like there is more to this than, you know, just taking pretty photos, as you will, sort of thing. So no, I thank you so much. I will link all of his stuff in the description as well, so if you need to find him, they will be down below. But thank you so much for coming on my podcast. It was been amazing. We had a great chat. Please subscribe, like, and comment down below for everything else, and I'll see you in the next episode.